morning, children. Today we are going to start off with a new chapter. Take out your literature book, chapter 7, The Goat Adventure. So it's going to be a fun story. I'm sure you will enjoy reading it. And let's take out your book, take out page 57, and let's start off. I'm going to read the chapter and I'm going to explain it to you. So let's start page 57. I'm sure you are ready with your book. Have you ever got into trouble because of a prank and some mischief? What's a prank? What's a mischief? बच्चे क्या करते हैं? बदमाशी करते हैं, तो प्रैंक करते हैं. तो these are the naughty boys. So the story is all about three naughty boys. Read the story about the three naughty boys get into trouble. How they get into trouble? Let's see. I say, said Harry. So the first boy's name is Harry. Did you know the early plums are ripe in Mr. Jones' orchard? So, what's an orchard? An area where fruit trees are grown. So, it's kind of like a garden where it's a fruit garden where fruits grow, right? So, it's a plum fruit in the garden of Mr. Jones. So, what they want to do? They want to go to the orchard and pick up plums. Plum is a fruit. No. Are they? Said Jack. So Jack is another boy. I vote we go and get some. So he also agrees that they should go to the orchard and pick up some plums to eat. The ripe, wonderful plums. Turn the page. Page 58. Yes, let us, said Len. So another boy's name is Len. So there are three boys. What are the names of the boys? Harry, Jack, and Len. So these are the three boys and their names. So the story is all about these three boys and how they get into trouble. So let's read. When shall we go? Len asked. Is old Mr. Jones ever out? He's real crosspatch and I wouldn't want to be caught by him. So what's a crosspatch? A person who gets angry easily. So Mr. Jones gets angry easily, right? So he's saying that he's a crosspatch and he's going to get angry and he's going to catch us if we go into his orchard and pick up plums. So Len is saying, I don't think it's a good idea because he gets angry very easily. He's gone to help his brother run the greengrocer's shop down in the town, said Harry. So what did Harry say? Harry knows that Mr. Jones is not there in the house and he's gone down to the town to help his brother set up a greengrocer's shop. So he's not in the house. It would be quite safe to go this evening. He said it's going to be safe because he's not in the house and we can go into the garden. I should think. They don't shut the shop till 6:30 and after that they will always clear up. So what did he say? The shop is closed. The shop closes at around 6:30, which is 6:30. So he's not going to come before that. So it's quite safe to go because he's not in the house. That's what Harry says. Okay. Now next, right. Let's meet at the orchard gate at 6. So said Jack. So what did Jack say? Let's all of us meet together at the gate of the orchard, which is the garden, the fruit garden. We will have plenty of time to slip into the field, climb the plum trees and pick what we want before Mr. Jones comes home. So if we go at 6, they said that we will have plenty of time, means a lot of time to pick up plums, eat them and eat whatever we want, how many we want, how many plums. Okay? Oh, lovely ripe plums, said Len. I shall fill my pockets, he said. I will fill my pockets with a lot of plums, right? The three boys met outside the orchard gate. So, the three boys went to the orchard and they met in front of the gate, right? Mr. Jones' cottage looked empty. So, they saw inside, from the gate they saw the cottage and it looked as if it's empty. It was locked and there was no one around. So, the house was locked and they could not see anybody around. So, it was a lonely place and nobody was likely to come by. So, they were very happy because they saw that there was nobody around and they could have a gala time. They could enjoy with eating plums. Page 59, next page. Come on, over the gate we go, said Len, and over they went. So they jumped off the gate, went inside the orchard. The orchard wasn't very big and the hedges all around it. Hedges, what are hedges? Lines of bushes or small shrubs. Bushes all around. There were bushes all around. And so what did they do? They jumped off and went into the orchard and saw that there were bushes all around. The boys made their way to where the early plums hung purple and ripe on the trees. So they went inside, they made their way, they walked towards the trees. And they saw that lovely beautiful plums were hanging from the tree. And then there was a movement behind some bushes at one end of the orchard. So they heard some movement in the bushes. What movement? Means some sound, some noise, something was rustling in the bush. What was happening? Let's see. The three boys stopped. So the boys were walking down towards the plum trees, but then when they heard the noise, the sound, they stopped. Something trotted around the bush. Trotted means walked quickly. Trotting means walking quickly. So something was walking away in the bush and stood there looking at the boys. Now they could see what was rustling in the bush. "Oh, only a goat," said Harry. "Come on." So Harry saw a goat coming out of the bush. So Harry said, "Oh, it's only a goat. Come on. Nothing to be scared of," Harry said. Excuse me. Another goat appeared. And then another goat. Then another. So they could see that first they saw one goat and then from behind the bush, goats started coming out. One, again another one, again another one. So many goats were together coming out of the bush. They stood looking at the boys. Now the goats were looking at the boys. And then the first one made a dash with his head down to butt them. Butt means hit them with his head. Dashing means, to dash means to run hurriedly towards the boys. So they ran quickly towards the boys. Who? The goats. And wanted to hit the boys with his head. "Quick, quick," yelled Len. They made for the trees and shunned up one just in time. So, shunned up means to climb quickly. So, they ran towards the tree and they quickly climbed up the tree so that the goats cannot catch them. Right. The four goats gathered around the trees looking up. So, how many goats were there 4 goats. They quickly gathered around the trees, looking up. One goat made a loud bleating noise. So one goat made a bleating sound, a noise. I hope he's not calling Mr. Jones, said Len nervously. So Len said, he's screaming. So the yelled means to scream. So he thought that he's calling Mr. Jones. Go away, ordered Harry. Harry said, go away to the goats. Feeling much braver now that he was up the tree. He was much relaxed and he felt very brave that, oh my God, now I'm very brave that I climbed up the tree and the goats could not catch me. The goats did not go away. The goats were still standing below the tree. They wandered around the plum tree, looking up at the boys. They were moving around the plum tree only because they were looking at the boys, what the boys were doing. I just heard the church clock striking 6:30. So the clock in the church struck 6:30. So it was 6:30 and it was time for Mr. Jones to come. Right. Mr. Jones will be home soon. I wish these goats would go away. So what did Jack say? Jack said that it's time for Mr. Jones to come home. And now what's going to happen? I hope the goats go away so that they can climb down and go home. I just heard the clock struck 6:30. In about 5 minutes, the goats began to wander off. So within 5 minutes, the goats went away. The boys slithered. Slithered means slide down without balance. So they just slid down the tree. At once, they felt rather full. Why they felt full? Because they had a lot of plums, right? Thank you. The boys slithered down the trees at once and they were full because they had each spent their time eating a few pounds of plums. So what did they do? They ate a few plums, a lot of plums. Now let's run, said Len. And they ran. What did they do? They ran. But the goats ran too, of course. Bump, thud, biff. They charged at the boys. Charged means rushed towards in attack. So they started to attack the boys. And overall, they all went. Ow, ooh, ooh, yelled the boys, trying to escape. What was they doing? They were attacking the boys because they came inside the orchard to have plum. Harry managed to get to the gate and leap over it. Len was butted all around the field before he managed to escape. Now what happened? They managed to escape, but they got hurt. Why? Because the goats were attacking them. And poor Jack scrambled through a prickly hedge and tore his jersey from top to bottom. So whatever the t-shirt he was wearing, it's a jersey, the t-shirt, it got caught in a hedge, the bush, and it got torn. They raced down the lane and bumped into Mr. Jones. Now when they came out of the orchard into the lane, they bumped into Mr. Jones. What did they do? They bumped into Mr. Jones. Round the corner. Some plums fell out of Harry's pocket. So Harry kept some plums inside his pocket and it came out and fell on the lane, the ground, and rolled on the road and rolled down the road. Hey you! You have been stealing my plums, said Mr. Jones. Stop! So what did Mr. Jones say? You stole my plum? Stop! He said stop. But they did not stop. They raced away and disappeared. Oh, how bruised they were. They simply couldn't sit down that evening. So, the goats attacked them so badly that they got hurt. Bruised means all marks here and there, in hands, all over his body, and they were in a very bad shape. They got hurt. Then what happened? They were very ill that night. So they were very sick. They fell sick because they got bruised all over the body and it was paining and they were not well because some of the plums they had eaten were not ripe. So what did they do? They did not. Some plums were ripe. Ripe means paka hua. Yeah. So, but some were not. So they fell unwell. Some were not ripe. So they ate those plums which were not ripe and they fell sick. And at school, there was a message to the headmaster from Mr. Jones. So what Mr. Jones did? Mr. Jones sent a message to the headmaster of the school, complaining that 3 boys have stolen plums from his orchard. Then what happened now? Which of you was it? Asked the headmaster sternly, eyeing the boys standing in rows before him. Now all the boys in the class were standing in a row and this headmaster asked them, who did this? Who stole plums from Mr. Jones' orchard? He asked. But what happened? Now, own up. I warn you that I shall know, even if you don't tell me. So what did he say? Own up. Say. Who said? Who did this? Who stole? Even if you don't own up, I will understand. So, because he's the headmaster and teachers understand everything, right? So, he understood. He said, I will still understand. But what happened? Len, Harry and Jack said nothing. They did not own up. They did not say that they stole the plums. They knew that Mr. Jones had not recognized any of them. They knew that Mr. Jones did not see them in the dark. So, they did not own up. So now, would the headmaster know? Now they were wondering, how will the headmaster know? Would he know? He won't know, so they did not own up. Sit, said the headmaster suddenly. So, when the headmaster said sit, and the boys sat down on their hard chairs. The chairs were hard, so they sat down. The headmaster watched them all. So the headmaster was watching all of them, observing, seeing who's doing what and how they are sitting. Len, Harry and Jack, come up here, he said. So what did the headmaster say? He called Len, Harry and Jack. That please come here. You are the thieves. You will pay 50 pence each to Mr. Jones for stealing his plums. So he said that you are the thieves. He could understand that Len, Harry and Jack were the thieves and they went to the orchard last night to pick up plums, to steal plums. So said, you are the thieves, so you are going to pay to Mr. Jones for the plums. But sir, how do you know it was us? Stammered Len, surprised. So the boys were surprised and Len was surprised that how did sir know? So he asked, sir, how did you know? Because, next page, page 61. Because Mr. Jones said that he kept goats in his orchard to butt anyone who went there to steal. So, Mr. Jones told the headmaster that, I have got goats and if anybody tries to steal my plums from the orchard, the goats are going to hit them, butt them. Okay? So, and when I said to all of you, sit. So when the headmaster told all of them to sit, I watched to note which of you had to sit down very, very carefully. So since, Jack, Len and Harry had got hurt in their bum, so when they were sitting, they had got, all bruises. So when they were sitting very carefully because they were in pain. And that's what the headmaster observed, watched, that they were sitting very carefully. That's how I knew it was you. So the headmaster said, that's how I knew, because I watched and I observed carefully that you were sitting very, very carefully when I said that sit down. So I knew it was you, Len, Jack and Harry. Well, I hope you think the plums were worth it. So, no sir, they said. They weren't. We were dreadfully hurt. So, sir asked that, whatever you have done, was it worth it? So, you went to eat the plum, pick up plums. So, was it good? So, they said, no, it was not good because we got hurt, we became sick. And right now, we have to pay also for the plums. So, don't you laugh, sir. It's not funny. So, the headmaster started laughing. But everyone thought it was a very funny, and the whole school roared every time they saw the three naughty boys trying to sit down carefully. So, they got hurt, and whenever they were sitting, the whole school started laughing, right? Because they found it very funny that they got hurt here at the bum. But poor Harry, Jack and Len, they don't feel as if they ever can eat plum again. So children, the story, so the entire thing is a prank. So they planned a prank to go to the orchard, right? So this is the story of the three boys so what were the names of the three boys? Harry, Jack and Len, right? And where did they wanted to go? They wanted to go to Mr. Jones' orchard. Yes, and what did they want to steal? They wanted to steal the ripe plums. And when they went to the orchard, what did they see? Who attacked them? The goats, yes. How many goats were there, children? There were 4 goats, right. And then what happened to them after they came back? They were in a very bad shape. They were sick, they were ill, and they got hurt, and they had bruises all over the body, right? What happened the next day? How did the headmaster come to know? Mr. Jones told the headmaster that, what did he say? That 3 boys from your school have stolen my ripe plums. And what punishment did the headmaster give to the 3 boys? That they had to pay 50 pence for the plums to Mr. Jones. Yes. Okay, so this was the story, children. I'm sure you have understood. If you have any doubts, please get back to me. So please read the story properly. Okay. And learn the meanings. And page number 61. See the first exercise A. I am not going to do it with you at all. It is a very simple exercise. So read the story properly. I have explained the story to you. Read it properly and nicely and do this exercise. It's a true and false exercise. Read it and do it. Okay? So children, just a minute. Okay, so children, this was the story of the 3 boys, the goat adventure. The name of the story is chapter 7. We have already done it. In my next video, we are going to do the spellings, the difficult words, the meanings and all these things. And then we are going to follow it up with question answers. Right. So, please read it and there's going to be an exercise. Please, let's do a storytelling. Okay? So, you can make 3 puppets of the 3 boys and a goat. You know, you can make small finger puppets. You can put the puppets inside your finger. You know, make 3 faces. One is Jack, one is Len and one is Harry. And you can make the 4 goats here. Okay? And please record a video of the storytelling session. Right? And send it to me personally. Okay? Please children, do it. It's a good exercise. You'll be able to speak. Okay? Say the story in short. Okay? If you need my help, I'm always there. You can get back to me personally. Okay? So do this and send it. Right? Okay? So I end my lecture here. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.